back like we never left. It's Double Move Sports. And we're talking Garrett Wilson. We're talking about all these rookies, but today we want to focus on Garrett Wilson. To me, the cleanest, purest wide receiver profile in this class, yet we both have him as the wide receiver 3 off the board in our rookie rankings right now. You can catch that in our Discord channel, link to that down below. But Alex, talk to me about why we have Wilson as wide receiver 3, even though he has maybe the best profile of these receivers.
Yeah, with Garrett Wilson, it's tough because before the draft, I actually had Wilson as my wide receiver 1. And we always say on the show, especially with these rookies, it's a combination of talent. That's the most important thing, but you have to factor in draft capital and landing spot on the other side. So for me, before the draft, Garrett Wilson was my number 1, but it was that tier of those top 3 with Wilson, Drake London, and Treylon Burks. And now that we've seen the draft come and go, the draft capital was all similar. I think they all went, within 10 picks of each other. And you just have to look at the landing spot after that to evaluate it into our rankings. And you got to love it for Drake London. Goes to Atlanta. Yes, the quarterback situation is questionable, but should be an absolute target funnel. I would be shocked if Drake London didn't see 120, 130 targets in his rookie season. You flip over to Treylon Burks, who you're on a Titans team where they trade away A.J. Brown. That was the easy comp. Treylon Burks is that clear replacement. No, he might not see 120 targets, but if he gets 90 to 100 with the efficiency of that offense, he could not only have a really good rookie year, but set himself up to be the one there for the future. And then you look at Garrett Wilson and you get the New York Jets, and it's like, okay, not only is this not a great offense, Zach Wilson is just as much of a question mark as any of these other landing spots at the quarterback position, but then you have Elijah Moore, who is there and who established himself as a solid receiver last season. You still have Corey Davis there, who signed a big contract. I think it was like 4-year, $48 million last offseason or something in that ballpark. So like Corey Davis, no, I don't think, Garrett Wilson should be worried about Corey Davis for his long-term outlook. But for this season and getting up to speed in these dynasty leagues and how we value these players, Corey Davis could steal some touchdowns, steal some of those downfield targets. And you got Breece Hall, so they're probably going to try to establish the run a little bit more this season as well. So for Garrett Wilson, I love the talent. There's nothing about the talent I don't like. He can do it all. He has the profile from an athleticism standpoint. The sub 4.40 was fantastic. The production at Ohio State was fantastic. The draft capital is fantastic. My only concern with Garrett Wilson is that landing spot. And if Zach Wilson is not the guy, does Garrett Wilson go down with the ship? And that's my only concern. We've seen receivers get thrown to the wolves time and time again. We've seen N'Keal Harry struggle, and that was even with the year with Tom Brady, before that turnover happened. We've seen Jalen Reagor go to Philadelphia in the first round with questionable quarterback play. And we've seen first-round receivers time and time again go down with the ship with some of these quarterbacks. Now, I will say Wilson, from a profile standpoint, not comparing him to those players, I think he can be so much more than those guys. But I don't think those other guys were terrible players when they entered the NFL. So there just is some worry there. And what we've seen in dynasty leagues, we've gotten a little bit spoiled by the Jamar Chase, the Justin Jeffersons of the world, even guys like T. Higgins that have flashed in their rookie season. If we're not seeing these high-end first-round wide receivers flash in a major way consistently in their rookie year, a lot of times their value can just absolutely crater. So for Garrett Wilson, I think long-term he's going to be a great NFL receiver. I just wonder how quickly that's going to happen. And I think the expectations of dynasty players the past couple of years has made us really want that in the rookie season. And if he doesn't go for, if he has 100 targets and 750 yards and just a couple touchdowns, I think people are going to be disappointed.
Think of Calvin Ridley's ability stuck in bad offenses. That's the Terry McLaurin. That's the Terry McLaurin path. Exactly. That's a worst case or potential outcome for Garrett Wilson, where it's like he just can't quite crest that wide receiver 1. You're always like, next year he'll get a better quarterback. Next year he'll get a better quarterback. And we've seen there's this tier of quarterbacks in Dynasty right now where they have strong weapons. They're primarily going to make their hay in the passing game. They're not mobile quarterbacks. And we don't know if they're actually great fantasy assets long-term, like Mac Jones, like Tua. Zach Wilson now I think fits into this with the weapons they put around him, including Breece Hall in that offense. The O-line's getting bolstered. They had some injuries last year, but you look back over the last couple of seasons, invested multiple early first-round picks into the offensive line. And Kenny Pickett, I think, falls into this range now as well, where they have all the weapons they need in Pittsburgh, but do we know if he's actually a great passer or not and can sustain fantasy value long-term and have a truly high ceiling? So I just hope Zach Wilson has been sitting at home all offseason just grinding Joe Burrow and Mac Jones tape. But based on what I'm seeing on social media, he's out drinking beers on the pontoon with Braxton Berrios.
Braxton Berrios, his boy.
Braxton Berrios. Come on. But no, I think for Garrett Wilson, why we took him in this razor thin tier of these top 3 receivers and put him at the bottom was because the landing spot does matter in the short term. If you are a high volume trade player in Dynasty, you can turn some of these top guys already into first in 2023 and 2024. You can sell off a Treylon Burks and another piece to go upgrade a running back or a quarterback in Superflex. Since wide receiver is so deep these days, there's so many strong wide receiver twos. It's great if you have extra room. Pair one of these exciting rookies with another name and take a huge upgrade where you can turn a rebuild around in a few years if you pick up a Russell Wilson right now, or God forbid, like a Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott type of name. Recently, I traded Amari Cooper and Isaiah Spiller for Cam Akers in a league. So that's the kind of the value play I'm talking about. Solid receiver, low end, other asset, and flip them.
And here's the expectation I want to set. Here's what I mean and what I think you mean by like the slow start to his career. I think Garrett Wilson could have the same career arc, if you will, if we want to call it that, as a Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy came in with first-round draft capital, had a good, not great rookie season. I mean, 52 receptions on 113 targets, super inefficient, 856 yards, only 3 touchdowns with bad quarterback play. And then obviously last year, Jerry Jeudy in year 2 still had bad quarterback play, he missed a good part of the season, 467 yards on 38 receptions. So Jerry Jeudy, it felt like after the season ended, it's like, okay, Jerry Jeudy's had 2 seasons. It hasn't happened for him. Cortland Sutton is there. There's other target competition. The quarterback's not good. The Jerry Jeudy value was fading in a big way. And if you bought low at the end of the season, you're probably really happy right now, because the second Russell Wilson went to Denver, it's like all wrongs were thrown out the window. And Jerry Jeudy was just everything we wanted him to be all of a sudden, with the same production in his rookie and sophomore season. So for Garrett Wilson, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some of that value depression start to happen if Zach Wilson doesn't get it done from an efficiency standpoint. Then the second that they get a good quarterback there, people are going to love that talent of Garrett Wilson and see the future and what it could be in New York with good quarterback play.